Y'all, I messed up. I have an exam at 10 a.m. tomorrow. It is currently 3:13 and I have yet to study at all. In fact, if we're being entirely honest here, I feel like we can have a truth bubble. I am 2 lectures behind in this class. So I'm 2 weeks worth of content behind and I have an exam tomorrow. And you're probably like, Sandra, how could you possibly let this happen? The answer is simple. I'm responsible. I am not going to call it a wash. Exams are important and we're going to do everything we can to cram. So this video is how I'm cramming for my exam and we'll find out if it works. Step 1 is that my room is a mess, so we're gonna fix that so that I can have a clean space to work in for the rest of the night. So tip number 1 is get everything that could possibly be a point of procrastination done. If you've watched any of my other studying videos, you know that I work best with motivation. So I'm actually gonna do the Pomodoro method, and I want to get about 4 hours of studying in. It's coming up on 4 o'clock now, so I'm gonna do a 4-hour Pomodoro method. I like to just use YouTube videos of Pomodoro session because it's just easiest. This might seem a little bit backwards. My friends and I all have like a Word doc that's a shared doc on Outlook. It's not a study guide, it's just all the learning objectives where we fill out what we learned in those objectives, so it functions as a study guide, but I'm not going to use that because digging for the information actually helps me learn it better than just like reading and trying to absorb the information. So I'm going to take a blank version of that document and fill it out myself. This is especially helpful because I'm behind on lectures, so it'll force me to actually go through and teach myself the content. I'll have to learn the content in order to fill it out anyway, so that'll be a better form of studying than just reading. Unfortunately, in OT school, it's really not just like, do you know this or do you not? It's, do you know how to apply this? So a lot of the test questions are case studies. So in order to study for that, I also kind of take all the facts and put them in the context of OT intervention. My hair is greasy because I put coconut oil in it, so ignore that. It looks like I have dandruff, but it's just coconut oil chunks. We just talked about putting everything in context, and one of the other things that I do is I take it all out of context and I memorize all the facts and figures. Let's put it this way. My geometry teacher in like sophomore year of high school had the most helpful advice, and it was, you can never learn anything big picture if you don't understand the definition and the basics. So anything that's big picture concept, how do I intervene, how do I use this as an intervention, that's all like my thought process and pulling it through and reading case studies and applying the information. But the definitions and the functional building blocks, I think flashcards are the best for that. I use Anki flashcards, but any flashcard system will work. I think Anki is great because it does spaced repetition, but that doesn't matter when you're cramming. I will just make an Anki deck and do a custom study where I can see all of the flashcards and I go through all of the flashcards in cycles. This is good because I feel like a lot of times when you're cramming for an exam, you forget to practice the recall. And you're never, ever, ever going to do well in an exam if you don't practice remembering the information that you're learning, and flashcards are a great way to practice that. That is what I'm doing now. I'm making the flashcards with just as much information as possible, with the hopes that I will be able to spend the second half of my study block studying these flashcards and then doing case studies. So I'm almost done with the first 2 hours of my study block. Actually, I am done with the first 2 hours of my study block. I'm not done making flashcards yet, so I think I'm going to use one more 25-minute chunk to make my flashcards, and then I'm going to go cook dinner. I have showered and changed into pajamas. Good morning, it is exam day, and this morning I'm just gonna do the flashcards that I made yesterday and review anything that I think will come up for sure on the exam. So on this exam we have like 6 assessments that we were supposed to learn, and so I'm just gonna review kind of the key factors of those. Okay, it's a few days later and they've posted our exam grades, and I don't think grades are that important. Obviously I don't know the information because I crammed for that exam, so I have been going back through and actually learning the info that will be relevant for me for practicing as well as for my boards exams one day. Sorry, just doing my hair I guess while we're here. I will just share that I did better than I wanted to do, and so my cramming worked in order to perform on the exam, and since then I have been adding the Anki cards that I created into my regular daily rotation of Anki review. So I'm actually doing spaced repetition learning on those cards, and I have reviewed a lot of the assessments that we'll be using. Luckily we will be reusing a lot of that information. It's all good. As always, thank you so much for tagging along. Let me know if you have any questions or anything specific you want me to talk about, and I'll see you next week for a fun vlog.